Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to VTV. A while ago, a channel was created with several commentators called The Sim Standard, and I think at the time there were about 7, maybe 8 members at the time. Now these members, they were not just your average commentators. I mean, these guys were very, very intelligent. For example, you had a guy named Apex is Free. And in case you don't know, this guy is very smart. Currently, he still has his own channel. I'll put the link to that channel in the description. But let me tell you a little bit about this guy. When it came to games like Madden and NCAA, this guy would preach on the principles of the game. The principles that every football game must have in order to become simulation or in order to just be successful as a football game. I think when it came to speaking on the principles, you'd be hard pressed to find someone on YouTube that knew more than he did, which is why he had a lot of popularity at the time. And you could go as far as saying, which is why he also inspired a lot of people to pick up a mic, pick up a camera, and hit the record button themselves. Also on this channel, you had a guy named Ryan Moody, who at the time, and I could say currently, I'll put the link to his channel in the description, was the best at breaking down fundamental football mechanics in Madden football games, period. I mean it when I say this guy is very smart and not just knew about football historically, but could also tell you and show you what fundamental mechanics these football players in these video games are lacking today. You'd be hard-pressed finding someone on YouTube that could do it better today. I will not lie and say that I haven't, through all these years, been impressed by how much he knows as well as Apex knows. And as mentioned before, I was a member of the Sim Standard in the past, and with half my arrogance and only 10% of my ego, I'd say you could never and will never find anyone who could break down the AI system in these football games better than I can. There was no one better at making sliders than I was. When it came to sliders, when it came to nano blitzing, money plays, letting you know when and how these animations will be triggered by the AI system, there is no one better. Combine the fundamentals, combine the principles, combine the AI system with the intellect of a guy who could break down football plays. And his name was Brozels. I've seen him literally take a football play ran in Madden and compare it side by side with a real diagram of how a real football play should actually be run, what the defensive line should be doing, what the linebackers should have done, what the defensive backs ought to do, and what the quarterback will do. And I'll go out on a limb here and say that he was the best at doing just that. Now these are the members who have departed from the Sim Standard. Now you take that and you add that to the intellect that's on the Sim Standard channel today. At that time in the football community, we covered everything. There was not a news article, not a trailer that was going to get past us. Okay? Not one. Not a patch, not an interview, not a podcast, and not a demo was making it past us. We had it all covered. If you knew one of us, you knew all of us. That's how connected the community used to be. Azure Effect, Sim F Ball Critic, on down the line, and what do you have? Now with only 1% of my arrogance, I'll say you have the best football video game channel on YouTube. That's what you have. Or, that's what you had. Here is a clip. I thought it would be fitting to have the best team go against what is considered the worst team, the Kansas City Chiefs. You can see Marshall Faulk, and you can see Barry. I think his first name is Eric, number 29. You can see that this tackle animation is being pulled together. This tackle animation was in Madden for years. In fact, I've shown this in a Jason Hansen video I shown in Madden 10. If I get the time, I'll do a side-by-side comparison. But here's where the illusion comes in. You can see number 23. Instead of it being so predetermined, the illusion that it isn't predetermined comes in here. When number 23 is allowed to move the predetermined tackle to a different location. But does that mean that the tackle isn't predetermined just because they fall differently? Because it looks cooler? Because it looks more realistic? Moving on, let's concentrate here on these two players. Now, no one can tell me that these two players are not going through each other. Clearly, they are. Now, why would I bring this up? Well, because it's been happening for years, and we were told players' arms and limbs, let alone their entire body, could not go directly through each other anymore. The Infinity Engine was supposed to correct this problem. Clearly, it did not. Now, I'll ask you the question. What do you see here? Do you see one player going through another? Because if you do, there's something else you're admitting also. And that is weight doesn't matter, player positioning doesn't matter, and the false claim of integrity doesn't matter in this game either. That's what you admit if you admit you see one player going through another. Now, I don't know about you, but once I played the demo, I knew right away that the AI system was exactly the same as it had been for years. Now, let's watch this clip. Look directly at the offensive line, and you can see a defensive lineman run directly through the offensive line, unblocked and untouched. So I'll ask the question, what exactly do you see here? Because if you see a defensive lineman run through the offensive line unblocked and untouched, if that's what you admit that you've seen, then you also admit this, that the AI and the offensive line are playing exactly like they have been playing for more than 3 years now. More than 3 years. Well, how can I say that, you may ask? Well, because I've shown clips like this in the Madden franchise for over 3 years now. And if you need proof, I'll gladly show you the footage of me doing just that and showing just this. But why exactly is this happening? Well, it's happening because of procedural awareness. Procedural awareness locks the players onto a specific player, and that program cannot be broken despite how bad and how unrational it may look. The offensive player number 65 is locked in on the linebacker here, and that cannot be broken. I remember when NCAA was advertising procedural awareness for the offensive lineman. It was a trailer I broke down back then, but I knew the positives and the big negatives that would happen once EA tried to attempt to do this. Now that Charles has made it through the offensive line, you can see Dwayne Bowe, Ronnie Lott, in comes Rod Woodson, Patrick Willis. You can see Madden being exposed here. What do I mean by that? In order to achieve simulation, both teams and all players must have different intentions. For example, a defensive lineman is going to play defense different than a defensive back will. Players of different height, different weight, different positions, they have a tendency to play to their own strengths. Some of them go high, some of them hit low. However, when you try to incorporate physics in a game that has no intentions, this is what you get. The physics themselves expose the AI. There is no intention. This is exactly what happened with Backbreaker. Look at how Rod Woodson is running into this pile. Look at how Dwayne Bowe is running into this pile. They're not even putting their hands up like they're trying to hit. Maybe because EA knows stuff like this is all you need to see to get you to spend $65. That's another principle Apex came out with. It was called Save 65. In other words, keep your principles, keep your money, and don't sell out so easily. Speaking of intentions, do you know why, other than the obvious here, because I just see some ridiculous comment in the comment section, other than the obvious, why is it that crash test dummies are used in a crash test? Crash test dummies can give us some of the best information. For example, if you strap a dummy in an automobile and run that automobile into a wall, The better protected the dummy is, the better protected the human should be. But why is that? Well, it's because the dummy is portraying a body that has no intention. It has no intention on looking out the window. It has no intention on checking the radio. It's going to simulate someone not paying attention, someone not trying to do anything. So the better protected the dummy is, with all of its limbs and its head flying everywhere, the better protected the dummy is, the better protected the human should be, because it proves that the person in the vehicle can be completely oblivious to his surroundings and still be okay. Well, what does that have to do with Madden? Well, it has a lot to do with Madden, because that's exactly what's going on here. The physics themselves expose the AI. There is no intention. You have crash test dummies just flying into each other. And if they're not flying into each other, you just have some of the old repetitive animations going on here that can be augmented. Someone can casually just run into it and you fall differently on the ground than you fell in Madden 09. That is the Infinity Engine in a nutshell. Here's my last example. We're going to focus on, I believe it's Reggie White, and he's against number 73 here. Pronounce his name how you see fit. But you'll see Reggie White, and you'll also see something we've all been seeing for years, and that is suction animations. Reggie White is clearly past number 73 here. He throws him to the side, and again, the same old, same old. It's still the same. Positioning doesn't matter. Why does positioning not matter? It doesn't matter because it's all predetermined. You're just watching it being played back. It's one big show. It's one big show. It's one big illusion. You just decide which one you want to see when you adjust the difficulty setting. If you want to see Kansas City just dominate the Hall of Fame team, you want to see some ridiculous things, put it on Rookie. You want to see even more ridiculous things, put it on All Madden. These animations are all the same. The problem is, I was getting sick and tired of explaining elementary to grown-ups. Grown-ups who should know better. To say that Madden is simulation is to say that this is good enough. EA has created a big enough illusion, or a great enough illusion, that it has completely fooled me into thinking this is all real. Position on the field means everything. The AI is not determining who wins and who loses. You're doing that yourself. These tackles are not predetermined, and this AI is much more intelligent than I am. That these repetitive situations and these repetitive animations look spontaneous, unlimited, and in real time. Here we'll see Deion Sanders. He'll jump the route, and he'll look this ball into his hands. Now, anyone who knows Deion Sanders, or I don't know who hasn't, but this is not just an interception, but it has potential to be taken back, considering he's playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. But once again, we're reminded of the same thing we had been shown years ago. But once again, we're reminded of the same thing that has been happening year after year.
Skynet fully operational, processing at 60 teraflops per second.
You are not in control. Your position on the field does not matter. It doesn't matter if you have Deion Sanders and he's wide open to make this interception on what looks to be a 15-yard pass that my grandmother can intercept. It doesn't matter if you have Deion Sanders. Madden cards, all of this goofy stuff people are buying into, you know, if that's your thing, go ahead. Those of us who have been playing Madden over the years, we just don't buy it anymore. We just don't buy it anymore. Is Madden a great game? Is it worth your purchase? Is it worth a rental? Is it even worth just playing as a demo? All of these questions are relative to you. You decide all of it. I don't know about you, but 1% of my ego just won't allow this to fly.
Tony, what the hell is going on?